Hi, I'm Sonia Shivago.
I'm Adriana Villi.
We are actors,
Writers,
directors,
producers,
and we're two best friends
who made a movie
about two best friends.
Our movie is called Virgins by Choice. Join us for some real girl talk as we dive into some deep issues.
Unfiltered
Yes.
girl talk. You're welcome.
Real life, baby. Real life.
Hello, Internet.
Hello, Internet.
Today we talk about one of my favorite topics, self-love.
Self-love. Love it.
What
Loving the
is-
self-love.
What is love?
What is self-love?
And what does it have to do with it?
Self-love is having love for yourself, not the same as, being arrogant or thinking too highly of yourself or like that narcissistic type of love that we think of when people think they're very self-important. We're not talking about that. We're talking about genuine, loving kindness towards yourself, knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, and still loving all of yourself and accepting yourself for who you are. And that's just kind of like a broad kind of thing we can say what we believe and know about self-love, but
Yeah.
we'll talk more about what that means, in this episode. So join us.
Yes, I will join you. Here I am sitting in the chair next to you. And I think how you define self-love might be a personal, expression for you. I can say for myself what self-love looks like. Self-love looks like putting my needs first ahead of someone else's.
And why is that?
Well, because
that can kind of be like, well, what do you mean? So you're selfish. You put your needs in front of other
Right.
people, or at least like, I think, our parents' generation, like that's not how you do it.
you put your oxygen mask on first so that you can actually be of assistance to the other person that needs the respiratory aid.
Exactly.
And if you bleed yourself dry running around trying to do everything for everyone, you're not really helping anyone because you're just stressed out and angry at everyone, and you're not actually as helpful as you think you are.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes we think, oh, I got to do all these things for other people. And then you feel unappreciated because they're like, I didn't even ask for your help. Why are you micromanaging me? Why are you telling me what to do? All right. Story of my life.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just going to say, so this is also coming from, this might not be your issue, but this is coming from two
people pleasers, recovering people pleasers.
Recovering people pleasers.
Yes. Thank you, Brene Brown, for giving us that terminology. She's great. A shame researcher and wonderful writer who talks about vulnerability. If you don't know Brene Brown, you should.
She's great. But yeah, recovering people pleasers.
Yeah.
So again, it's if you're constantly, again, pouring yourself out and not filling your own cup and filling your well, you can get burnt out really easily. Just want to say that if you are, for example, in charge of caring for maybe an aging parent or maybe a child with special needs, or if you're in a situation where you really are the primary caregiver for someone that needs care, that might be really difficult to take that time for yourself. So we understand that there are times in life where maybe it's really actually difficult to be finding ways to pour back into yourself. But if you are in those situations, as much as you can, maybe asking for help and trying to get some self-care and some, time for yourself, even in those challenging times. But yeah, we're just recovering people pleasers in general is not what we're talking about. We're not talking about, in times of crisis or, when sometimes, everything has to stop because you're in a time of crisis and things shift during those moments. Talking about just having that thing where, you make everybody else's problems your own and you try to fix everybody else's problems, and you try to, get involved all the time when maybe you don't need to be. And maybe you're not taking care of yourself first, and you're just keep self-sacrificing like a martyr all the time. So
which comes to the famous saying of you can't really love anyone unless you love yourself, which is kind of a controversial statement because you do. I feel like you tell that to a parent and they're like, that's not true. Like, I love my kid unconditionally, but I haven't like fully loved and accepted myself.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting one. I
Yeah.
think there's truth in it, but I don't think it quite tells us the whole story. Of
Yeah.
course, you can love something more than yourself, but is that like good for you and your mental health? Like, at what cost? But I think that unconditional love of like as a parent that you have is something I don't know yet because I'm not a parent. I just have a dog.
Hey, but there's unconditional love
Still,
for your dog,
true.
you're a dog mom. But what you're saying is so important. What about if you turned some of that unconditional love toward yourself
Yeah.
that you give to others? You give to your parent, to your child,
Yeah.
or to your best friend, or to your husband or boyfriend or partner, or
Mhm.
what if you turn some of that toward yourself? Meaning, I will sometimes work myself to the bone and I don't rest. I'm like, oh, I have all these things to do. I can't stop. I can't rest. Whereas then my lovely best friend will tell me, maybe you just need to rest today, or maybe you just don't need to do everything on your to-do list all today. And if it seems so logical when someone else says it to you,
Mhm.
right? Like I would say that to her. If the roles were reversed, I would say that to her. Like, you need to take care of yourself. You need to give yourself some self-love. But we don't. What I mean, I know that's one of them. I'll be like, oh, but I can't. And it's like, I have to, I have to, I have to, I have to. And that's not being kind to myself when I need a
Mhm.
break, when I need
Mhm.
a rest. And so it's treating yourself like you would someone that you love, talking to yourself,
Yeah.
your inner talk to yourself, the way you would talk to someone that you really love, like a
Yeah.
best friend or your kid, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Because
And
we don't always talk to ourselves so nicely.
no, I think we are our own worst enemy sometimes.
Yeah.
And for some reason we're able to have empathy and compassion for others, but when it comes to turning that on us, we're very, very critical, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
expect
That
the
inner critic.
impossible. Yeah,
Yeah.
that inner critic is a real.
Ooh.
So I think like the self-love journey is basically making friends with the inner critic. I
Mhm.
think it's about that because it might come more naturally to you to feel like you can give love, but then the receiving
Mhm.
love is your problem. Like you don't feel like you're worthy of love
Yeah.
or that you deserve it from someone else, let alone from yourself. And
Mhm.
maybe that saying comes in here where it's like, if I can give myself love and self-love and know I am worthy and I conditionally love myself, then I actually won't be as critical of someone else. And that's maybe where
That's
that
true.
saying comes in, that
Yeah.
if you can't love someone else unless you love, because maybe it's more about like love and acceptance, because we can love, we sometimes we think we love someone but only in a conditional way. Like we love them if they do all these things for us, and if they don't, then we break up with them or we abandon them. Right? And so it's, if you learn how to not abandon yourself and love yourself unconditionally, and tolerate yourself and make peace with your quirks and not judge yourself for it, then you're not
Yeah.
going to be as judgmental to others, and you're going to feel more empathy for them and more tolerance and love in that way.
Yeah.
So I think that's where that saying comes from, because we can give love and we can help each other out, but it's hard to take it. It's hard. I think a lot of people struggle with accepting love,
Yeah.
right?
Definitely.
Feeling worthy of love. And then they sabotage their relationships. And we know that all too well, don't we?
Yes, we do.
They just are like, oh, this is going great. I think I need to end it. And you're like, excuse me?
Why would you do that? But because it's going great.
It makes no sense, but it makes total sense, because if you don't think you're worthy of it, you're not
Yeah.
going to be able to handle it. After a while, you're going to say, this is too
It's
much.
too much love.
Too
right?
much love,
Yeah,
right?
too much love.
If you don't know, if you have been raised in a way where you don't like know how to live with love.
And I mean, I think to
Yeah.
some degree, I feel like most of us, I mean, if you somehow were raised feeling totally worthy all the time of love, I mean, amazing. Like, your parents are angels. I don't know how they did it. They need
Did
to
you
write
grow up in outer space?
Yeah, they need to write a course. I mean, it's possible you had you had a home where you came out with a very decent sense of self-worth.
Yeah.
But I think for most people, just because our parents, or wherever, however we were raised, we're all flawed. We all have our own baggage and traumas and issues. And so it just kind of gets passed on. So I think to some degree, we all um, have noticed that maybe we don't feel worthy all the time, or there's certain areas or certain times where you're like, oh wow, why is it hard for me to receive right now? Even sometimes something simple like someone paying for your lunch, and it's like, oh my gosh, like I can't make you pay for my lunch, and then if you pay for my lunch, I owe you. I have like, whereas just
we have
like,
to always return the favor. We can't just accept
like
the gift or compliment.
Yeah, the gift or compliment. Exactly. It's like, that's not to say that it's not wonderful to be also generous to someone who's generous towards you, or to also repay a compliment, because it's beautiful, cyclical, to keep saying beautiful, positive things. But it's that thing of, can you receive it without feeling like, indebted now.
Yeah.
Exactly. Definitely. I've struggled with that throughout the years. I've gotten better. But sometimes I'll still catch myself.
Well, I think it's partly too, it's not just how we're raised. It's like society and conditioning, and that the school system of like, you have to earn your rewards.
Yeah.
You have to put in the effort to get, instead of saying you're already worthy of all the love because you're here.
Because you're here and you're human.
And you don't have to earn it. You don't have to do anything. You're just already perfect.
Yeah.
And then, not falling into the trap of perfectionism and having to do all these things and like, and bend yourself into a pretzel to be like, okay, now I'm worthy of a little bit of love. Spoon feed me a little bit of love, please. Like a little bird that's all contorted.
Yeah. But that's the thing about self-love. It's about being able to accept the parts of you that are not perfect, that maybe less lovable.
Brené Brown, Gifts of Imperfection.
Yeah.
Great book. Great book.
Great resource on this
and
topic.
There's a lot of great questions in there, and you can even have a little book club with your friend because there's questions after every chapter.
And just again, having that kindness and compassion towards yourself as a human being who is not perfect, because nobody on the earth is.
Yes.
Although perfectionists, and I'm speaking to myself.
So
we try to be perfect.
That's the thing. It's like, it's easy to love yourself when you're doing great. You look good. You're like, I hit the gym today. I ate well today. Blah, blah, blah. I love myself.
Harder to love yourself when you're in the middle of a pint of ice cream and you're binge watching Netflix or whatever. I mean, maybe not. Maybe it's not hard for you.
You didn't do your homework. You're behind on your bills.
Your life.
And then, but like, that's when it's most important to love yourself and to say, look where I am. This has been a hard day. I'm coping with my ice cream, and I'm soothing myself with my show on TV. But you know what? It's going to be okay. I have myself. I love myself. I'm not going anywhere. I won't abandon myself. I'm here for myself. I love myself. I love my inner child, right?
Yeah, and I'm worthy to have a day where, or whatever, a night or whatever, where this is what I need, and I think that's what it is. Self-love, a part of self-love is asking yourself, what do you need in this moment to be kind to yourself, to feel good? So maybe you had a hard day, great example, and that's what you need. You really just need to have some ice cream and to watch some shows, and that's what you really feel like you need. If you're doing that for like a whole month,
it's not good. That's what you want now.
Maybe we've overdone it for a month, but
ain't what you need,
right? Ain't what you need after that, whatever. But that's the thing, right? It's exercising that wisdom and finding out what you need and allowing for that rest, or day of sadness, or day of where you just need to decompress, and that's how you need to do it. And it's different for everyone. Could be different ways that they that you show kindness towards yourself. Maybe it's just not criticizing yourself in your head. So you sat down and you had the ice cream and you binge watched the show for 5 hours, and then you're beating yourself up over it.
And that's not helping,
right? Instead of saying, okay, self, I had a bad day. This is what I chose to do tonight. Tomorrow's a new day, right? Tomorrow's a new day.
Instead of like punishing yourself for like a choice that you've made that now you can't go back on. But you can decide, okay, I don't feel good about doing this anymore. So now I can make another decision. I can
Yeah.
I can put the ice cream down. I can go to the gym or whatever. But then just getting stuck at, so
Mhm.
being in the present moment too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like being in the
Hmm.
present helps you connect to self-love, and you're not like stuck on the past or thinking about the future. You're like, you're here right now with
Yeah.
yourself, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And sometimes self-love means making hard decisions.
yes.
It's not always like easy decisions or, things that we, easily kind of fall into. We're talking about this. Yeah.
Learning what boundaries are and how to
Yeah.
have healthy boundaries, and that's an act of self-love, saying
Yeah.
like, this is my boundary, and
Yeah.
I won't let this person talk to me like this.
Hmm.
And I have a choice here. I
Yeah.
can say, this is, I don't allow this.
Yeah. Or if you're in a toxic situation,
Mhm.
you're like, whether it's in a relationship and you're like, it's self-loving sometimes to leave that
Yeah.
relationship. Might be hard, might not
Yes.
feel very good to leave when you love someone, but if they're hurting you or it's an
Yeah.
unhealthy situation, then the self-loving thing is to leave.
If you love yourself, you are thinking about like your best interest, and it's not about what's comfortable.
Yeah.
So like loving yourself can be very uncomfortable. And
Mhm. Yeah.
so it's not about it feeling great and feeling all like lovey-dovey. That's not what it's about. It's about having your best interests and being your almost like your own protector parent to help yourself, like being able to rely on yourself, trust yourself,
Yeah.
and having a relationship with yourself, and learning to self-reflect and know who you are. So in the film, like once the characters make the pact to not have sex for a year,
Which is an act of self-love.
that's an act of self-love, that pact, right? Then they start to really explore themselves in ways that they, were afraid to. Luna learns how to be on her own.
Mhm.
And so she
Yeah.
learns a lot more about um, how to love herself and be alone and not feel like she needs to escape in relationships or in situations.
Yeah, let's just focus all our energy on us. It's such a short amount of time in the grand scheme of things.
For Lily, it's many things. It's allowing herself the time to be angry at God. That's actually for
Mhm.
her an act of self love, not having to be this perfect
Yeah.
faith believing person, and giving herself that space. Just going back, if you don't know what the pact is, so our film that we made, Virgins by Choice, these two characters make a pact to abstain from sex for a year. But as part of their healing journey. So there's a reason they're both going through pain, and that's why they do this. So that's why it's an act of self-love, because they're deciding to take time
Yeah.
to heal.
And
It's
not think about
we're-
being with other people
Yeah.
and just focus on themselves.
Exactly. So that just taking that time to heal from whatever traumas that has been going on in their lives. Luna's character is recently divorced. My character is coming out of a broken engagement. So there's
Yeah.
just a lot of pain. So that time is really necessary. And for Lily, it's just being able to learn how to be at peace with her own sexuality, and learning what that means for her,
Yeah.
without any outside voices telling her what it should be and what it shouldn't be.
Self-love is about self-acceptance,
Yeah.
self-approval,
Yeah.
Uh,
That doesn't mean you approve of all the things that you do. Like if
No.
you do things that hurt people, but it's like,
but you're still going to love yourself. Even if
Yes.
you've made a
if
mistake.
you've made a mistake and you've hurt people, you're going to have compassion for
Yes.
yourself. Try to learn to forgive yourself, which
Mhm.
sometimes, if you've done something really terrible,
Yeah.
is really difficult.
Yeah.
But in time, you can learn to have that love for yourself and say, you know what? I'm human. I made a big mistake,
Mhm.
and I'm going to make it right. I'm going to make it better. I'm going to,
Yeah.
do something. It doesn't mean that you don't accept the consequences of what you've done, right? We
Yeah, you
have
don't
to
put
walk
yourself
out.
in a mental prison
No,
for the rest of your life.
No, you don't put yourself in a mental prison, but at the same time, you can accept the consequences of what you've done in a way that is healing and loving to yourself.
So self-love is also about taking accountability.
Yeah.
That's
right.
important.
That's a self-love. It's so
Yeah.
true. Because I think we're just lying to ourselves otherwise,
Yeah.
which is I mean, it's like in a relationship, if someone's lying, I mean, that's not exactly loving, right? So if you're lying to
Yeah.
yourself, you're in that same situation.
And it takes a lot of courage to have that self-love and to look under, the mask maybe you've been wearing and see what's really going on,
Yeah.
so that you can get to the next step of like accepting that, right?
Yeah.
First you need to get really real with yourself. First you need to see, okay, where am I struggling here? What's happening here, right?
Yeah.
And not like come at it from like there's something wrong with me. I can't do these things well, but to be like, okay, maybe these things are hard for me, and I can have compassion that I don't have tools yet that I could learn to help myself deal with these situations better. Why did I go and like blow up at this person? Because it triggered me. Why did it trigger me? Because
Yeah.
of this unhealed trauma. Oh, okay, I can heal this trauma so that this doesn't happen again. That's taking
Yeah.
accountability, but also knowing yourself.
Yeah.
It's easier to love yourself when you know yourself.
Yeah. I mean, and we're talking from our own experiences here, because I mean, I've definitely personally been on a journey of self-love. The character in the film, same thing.
Yeah.
And I would think,
Yeah.
yeah, we've both, and I think that journey for self-love is a lifelong
Yes.
journey. You never really arrive. It definitely, you can be better. I feel like, with the amount of, self reflection over the years, and comes with age, and it comes with therapy, and it comes with knowing yourself.
Yeah.
You come to maybe a much better level than where you were at loving yourself.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean you don't fall into traps, right? And to
Yeah.
patterns that we all have. And that's why recognizing them and knowing, like, you can be like, oh, I'm really talking to myself not that great today.
Yeah.
Like my inner critic, which is, maybe we didn't really talk about, the inner critic is like the part of ourselves that's constantly criticizing, and maybe yours is like quiet, or maybe
You've
yours is really
definitely heard
loud.
it.
You've definitely heard it, So it's usually pretty negative.
It's the part that judges you when you're in front of the mirror.
Oh yeah.
Tells you what's wrong with your
with everything.
Yeah.
Tells you
That's
what's
the
wrong
inner
with
critic.
everything. That's the inner critic. So even that's such a great, they talk about, can you stand in front of a mirror, whether it's clothed or naked, and accept and love your body, where it is today. And that can be really hard. I mean, I know for women in particular, but I mean, I think everyone struggles with body image.
Yeah.
But that's another self love, right? Like journey, in
Yeah.
being able to accept your physical appearance, where it is today. And it's always changing, and it will change
Yeah.
forever as we continue to age every year. Every year we are different. So that's a big one. That's a really big one.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
if you live your life out of a place of always checking in with yourself on, like, is my next action a self-loving action? And I think that's how we can help us, if once we're on that self-love journey, how we can practically apply it is, before you're going to make instead of just impulsively making decisions, like, take a breather and check in with yourself and say, now, if I do this, is this an act of self-love?
Yeah.
Or am I doing this out of a sense of obligation for someone else, right? And then taking that extra beat to say, oh, wait a second, I almost said yes to this thing I should have said no to. So you know what? Actually, it's not for me. I'm so sorry. Like, if we just slow down, because, okay, for me, my journey has been about learning, like, getting away from perfectionism, learning to accept mistakes, and slowing down.
And learning not to be always in the people-pleasing mode and saying yes all the time. Not that saying yes is bad all the time, but sometimes saying no, like, I know, again, I think for both of us, I mean, it's hard to say no and to be like, well, exactly, this is not for me, or I can't do that with you next week because whatever, my schedule's already full, and then I'm going to be totally depleted.
Because we, are afraid of disappointing others.
Yeah.
And so another thing that I've learned through therapy is that I'm not responsible for another adult's emotions.
Yeah.
That's not my responsibility. Like in the sense of, I will communicate my truth, and if that hurts you and you don't like it, that's actually not my problem.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. it's not my responsibility to make sure you feel good about my decisions. And
Yeah.
that was a big thing for me to learn.
Yeah. And again, that's not to say that you're being maliciously hurtful to
No.
someone. It's like, we're not talking about that. We're talking about being able to be your own person,
Yes.
have your own personal truth about something, communicating that in a kind and honoring way, but doesn't mean people are going to like it.
And that's
That's the
what's
thing.
hard.
Yeah.
So when you start to do what's really good for you, you're going to like, some people are not going to like that, and you're going to lose people, and that's okay. I say good riddance, because the people that really should be in your life or meant to be in your life will.
Yeah.
And maybe you didn't need all those friends, right?
Yeah.
That had all these demands on you that if you couldn't fulfill, then you weren't worthy of their friendship, right? And so,
That's not friendship.
but I feel like when you start to go on that journey, like, you know, it might feel like, oh, this is actually not helping. If you look at like how other people are reacting to it.
Yeah.
But in our experience, it has helped. Stick in there.
Hang in there. Exactly. Because it's being able to honor ourselves and,
Yeah.
and put our needs in a place of importance, not just always putting them aside or not even asking ourselves. I feel like most of my life I lived not even asking myself what I
Exactly.
needed, or, you know, to survive, what I needed
Yeah.
to survive, to feel good, to feel mentally healthy. Cause you just kind of like do what everyone needs.
Yeah.
Right. And it's important, to actually, like you said, check in with yourself, check in with what you need,
Yeah.
and then make a decision out of kindness towards yourself.
And be like discerning and protective of your space and your energy, and like slowing down and just not feeling like I have to give an answer right away has been really, really helpful. If you've been on the self-love journey for a few years and you've been on this planet for like 30 more years than you've been on the self-love journey, you still have like a lot of habits and like crutches that you don't even realize, and you do these things, especially if you weren't fully present, and all of a sudden you did all these things, you're like, why did I commit to this? Why did I do this? I should know better, right?
Yeah.
And then you beat yourself up about it.
Yep. Yep.
Right? So but like understanding that like you're not going to be perfect at loving yourself either. So
Yeah.
you can get caught in the perfectionism of trying to love yourself perfectly. And then you're doing the same thing again that you said you'd stop doing.
Exactly. So I think the whole thing is just trying to learn to be a bit more kind to ourselves. And I was thinking too, sometimes the pendulum swings. So you're one way where you have no boundaries and you don't think about how you can, your needs and how to care for those needs. And then you can totally swing the other way. And that's, I think, normal and okay sometimes, like when you're learning to set boundaries. Sometimes maybe you go to the other way where you're just like, you're full of boundaries and you're because you're learning for yourself and you're saying no to everything, and maybe that's okay for a while, and even just accepting that part of the process, and then finding that middle ground where you're kind of more in balance with all of it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do feel again that if you have learned to accept yourself and not judge yourself so much, that you actually will give people a chance more than you would have before. So like you might say, oh, you know what? I will go on a date with that person. I won't just immediately say, oh, they have one flaw, like it's not worth my time,
Yeah.
right? Because if we find that we're being overly critical and dismissive of people or situations, it might be a sign that our relationship to ourselves right now isn't that great.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you notice that you're starting to feel really critical and judgy, that maybe hold on a second, maybe my self-love meter's off or something.
I'm critical and judgy to myself too.
Right? Like
Yeah.
it's a way of knowing.
Yeah.
And then how you can help your friends, if you have like a best friend that you trust, to like be real with you or call you out and be like, hey, you know what? You're being really critical right now, or critical of yourself. Sometimes you do need someone to spot you and say, because to kind of see you from the outside and say, wow, you've been really, really hard on yourself lately. Or you're being really judgmental on that person. Give them a chance, right?
Yeah.
And that's how you can help each other on your self-love journey by doing it together, whether you make a pact or not.
Exactly.
Right? So
exactly.
that's what the friends learn.
That's what the friends learn. And so this is a huge topic. This
Yeah.
is like, we could go on forever, but we
won't.
We won't. We just thought
stop
we'd,
right
you
now.
know, we just chatted a little bit about our own journeys, the characters' journeys of self-love. And hopefully, yeah, it was some food for thought. We're always just looking for some food for thought, you know?
Maybe you want to comment on an action that you do that's self-loving in the comments below. Like, you know, like, you know, one thing I do is I love to draw myself a bath and put candles and like incense and bath salts and make a big production out of my bath time. Like, it's like an act of self-love. Like,
Yeah.
maybe you do something. I'd be curious what you do that you think no one else does, maybe, or that other people do. Like,
Or maybe
what
it's
unique thing
like-
you do.
Yeah, it could be something that it works for you that someone never thought about for themselves, and it could help them. So that's always great to share. And not to forget to give us a little thumbs up if you like this video.
And if you don't like it, again, you are dismissed. We don't want to hear from you. Please stop watching us. By the way, why are you watching something this long if you don't like it?
Don't say
Like,
that.
why? Why are you here at this point? So obviously you like it. So, like, let's be honest. It's an act of self-love.
So, yes, if you like us, give us a thumbs up. Comment on a self-care or self-love that you do for yourself. Subscribe.
But
We
let
would
me
love
just
that.
tell you, if you don't like it, it's okay because we love ourselves.
That's right.
And we have given ourselves permission to not be liked by you.
But
And
you know
that's
what?
okay. You
But
don't have to like
You know
us.
what? Before we end, just on that note, that doesn't mean that some of the things that people say, and I feel like a lot of celebrities get this as well, the comments and things, that's why we're always trying to encourage positivity. We need more
course.
positivity in this world. So that's why we always joke, you know, if you don't like us, don't write a comment.
Yeah, well, it's just not good for the environment. It's you're just adding fumes. You're making it toxic in the environment where it doesn't need to
So,
be.
I mean, we're not for everyone. We're just here chatting and, you know, maybe looking to connect with people out there who enjoy these chats.
And you know what another act of self-love is, Adriana?
Tell me.
I will. Let me try to remember it. Wait a second. Oh, it's not having to justify your actions. So here we are going on and on about justifying something. It's enough to just say it and then own it.
Yeah, that's
Right?
true.
So if you give us a thumbs up, and if you don't.
And that's it.
And that's it.
Subscribe.
No more to say.
Subscribe. We love that.
Or don't subscribe. It is your decision
It's your
at the end of the
decision,
day.
of course.
But you'd be doing us a real solid if you would, you know. So if you want to help a sister out, then subscribe. But also, you don't have to, and that's cool. And here we go.
What is the most self-loving thing for you?
We must stop now. We will stop now.
Bye, internet.
Goodbye, internet. That's probably the lamest thing we've ever done.
Totally.